Hi everyone, this is Tay. We're gonna be doing our first ever speed build, I guess, is gonna be the best way to say this. So on this side is some Bengal tigers. I already built this, and then I was like, oh wait, this would make a really good YouTube series. So here we are now creating said YouTube series. This is a park that we started on stream together. This is our sanctuary, excuse me, of the wild zoo here in Planet Zoo. We built it on stream. We started in the beginning area. So now we're just gonna kind of go through and watch me build the Siberian tiger exhibit. I forgot what they were called for a second. So here because I already like built the middle, because originally I wanted this all to be for one tiger species, but then I realized like, wait, this is a giant spot. So I cut it in half, put Bengal tigers on one side, and so Siberian tigers, as I was looking at because I already have 2 tigers in the cage, so I was looking at them and I was like, oh wait, they swim. So I was trying to make this deep enough for them to swim, but just not have water go through the other side. I actually used that tool that you can like raise the ground up, and I didn't know that this tool even existed until I watched, I believe it was D Lady Singer here on YouTube, and I was like, wait, that's a super cool tool. So I realized that it raises soil, and then you can make really nice like landscapes. I was having a really hard time trying to figure out why the water wasn't going through, or was going through it rather. So I'm gonna just call myself out here, and you guys will see that I actually don't understand how the game works. I tried putting a couple different walls through, and then shortly here you'll see me realize like, oh wait, I actually need to put a barrier there for habitat, because that's the only thing that's gonna hold the water in. Yeah, so that was a fun realization. And then so in order to get there, I ended up flattening everything out, which you'll see like I go, oh wait a minute, the train. So I was like, wait, okay, let's just flatten this. And then I tested the barrier one last time and I was like, oh yeah, no, that wall definitely it's not waterproof. And also, as a nice, fun, friendly reminder, this is because it is our first ever speed build. I'm trying to figure out how to get used to all of this. And in this game, I get very distracted very easily. There's a lot of different things to do. So if you see random cuttings or people over there and suddenly weren't there, it's because I got distracted by something and it wasn't entirely fun to put inside their speed build. So I just got rid of it. So after doing all of this, I finally was able to get our base of it done, and so then I'm just gonna start putting rocks. And I know that how the rocks are going in right now is not very glamorous, but I feel like I put enough like plants and trees around it that you can't really tell that all the rocks are facing the same way. I do rotate a few of them every once in a while, but I was like, meh, I don't really want to do that. So because this was like a pool situation, I thought it would be really cool if like the tigers had kind of like a rock kind of staircase, I guess, for lack of better words, to go in and out of the pool. So building that was actually super fun and I enjoyed it. So these stairs I actually saw off of another creator did something similar in their tiger exhibit, so I 100% stole this from them. I think it was also the Lady Singer. It was very cool, and I've never seen that used that way before, and I was like, oh wait, I like that idea of having stairs to kind of help divide like where there is hills and moving down. And I don't know, in my brain I was also like, oh, what if the trainer or zookeeper needs to get all the way down there? And granted, in the game they don't, but I'm on a kick lately of trying to make everything like hyper realistic, or maybe not hyper realistic, but as realistic as possible. And I know in this particular sandbox that we're building, It's it's not going to be as realistic as I want it to be, just because I actually have turned off like the need for it to have power or anything like that. So the little those little concrete slabs are actually, they're for the tiger to lay on. I don't think the tiger actually will lay on. I got the idea from, there's the San Diego Safari Park has those in their like little tiger trails, so I thought that would be pretty cool to do something similar. I guess this is kind of inspired by that, the tiger trail, because I really like it since they've redone it. It's very cool. It's very fun to look at. So I kind of inspired these two tiger exhibits together to be kind of like the tiger trail at the safari park. Now, these waterfalls are the bane of my existence. I try to put a waterfall in. If you guys continue to watch this and continue to watch me build these things, you'll see very quickly that I tend to put waterfalls in almost every water exhibit that I can, because they are so cool to me. But the specific like special effects mechanic in this game, the waterfalls are very finicky, and I have a hard time figuring them out. I've every time I mess with them, I'm closer to figuring them out, but I don't know. So for this waterfall, I really wanted it to look like it was coming from something. I know technically it's really coming from nothing, but I wanted it to look like there was some sort of water situation that the waterfall was coming from. So I basically just used some more special effects and water situations to kind of make this more appealing versus just like water coming from a rock. So instead of the actual waterfall like splash zone, I used the small splashes, and then I did the same thing on top to make it look like it's just a little pond. Really? And I haven't talked about it yet, but I don't know if you guys saw earlier, I started putting trees like in the ground. That's honestly one of my favorite tricks for bushes. I like having big leafy bushes and big just full. And I've noticed Planet Zoo doesn't really have a lot of options for those, so I use trees and I like sink them into the ground to be bushes. I think they make really nice, and it's kind of cool because then they have that really nice like animation. So instead of like just having movement in the air like on the trees and stuff, it actually, you get that same movement when you use them as bushes, like it's air flowing through them. So that way you get, I don't know, I like it. I think it makes the exhibit more dynamic versus just being stagnant and stale, I guess, on the floor of the exhibit. I don't know. I think it's a little bit cooler. Another thing I do like to do, even though yeah, we are in like sandbox mode, I like to actually like still check in that I have enough coverage and plants, and I'm using of course the correct plants from the correct biomes and continent that the animals need. I tend to find that keeps it more on the like realistic side, just a little bit more to help it out, make it more believable. And so because they were only at like, I think 54% coverage, I started putting more trees. I have a rock gathering in the other exhibit that I basically just copy pasted into here, and I made a really nice kind of like divider, because again, I'm really bad at making these exhibits way too giant. But I guess it kind of works since we're doing more of like a sanctuary kind of zoo. So it kind of like divides it into two, gives the tigers more stuff to play on. I moved around the food trays because I didn't like them kind of out in the open. Because if you go to like any other like zoos or sanctuaries or stuff like that, most of the time the food isn't really very visible to the guests that walk through. So I tried to make it similar. There's not really a good way to hide it. So here what I'm doing, I'm just making the textures of the ground better, like painting it so it fits with what the tigers need. And I always like to put, like, if I have a pool, I always like to put some sort of the rock on the ground so it just looks more natural. I felt bad for him, so I gave him a toy. I don't know if he liked it, but he stood up immediately. And this is my hard part that I get with exhibits. I'm starting to feel like it's empty, but I don't know what to put. I don't know what else to put. So I just kept putting more rocks. Like, I don't know. I wanted to put more hills, but I heard somewhere that if I change the terrain, it actually makes less traversable terrain for the animals. So I don't know. I kind of love to flex. I do like the idea of having it bigger and the idea of these animals having so much room to just run around. So this area is going to be, it leads down to that walkway that right there that I'm working on is actually a way for a guest to kind of come down and into this really cool little viewing area. Again, that's something that is at the Safari Park Tiger Trail. And I really like the idea of it. Of course, the one at the Tiger Trail is incredibly more steep and not nearly as big as this one. But again, here we are at a sanctuary. We have a lot of extra room, so let's use it. And again, I know that these rocks aren't going in very glamorous, but like I said, I just basically make them look glamorous by adding trees and bushes and things like that. So here I'm gonna use my very cool tree trick again. And I don't know, I don't think it's actually that cool. I just really enjoy it. I use it for, especially when I'm trying to cover like a lot of big spaces like this. I feel like that really helps too. And I tried to cover this curve, but didn't really want it sticking on the sidewalk. And I know that, like, again, that doesn't really matter, because one thing I learned from watching a lot of creators on YouTube is that nature is random. It doesn't obey to the laws of concrete or rocks, really, or just like hard lines. So I don't mind if it does tend to go over a little bit, or if that happens. I just try to avoid it as much as possible. So down here for this area, I thought it'd be kind of cool if we made it more like nature and like where the jungle, like where the tigers live. So I kind of, put a lot of plants and flowers in there and made it more feel like a little sanctuary. I was gonna put like some sort of cool fountain or a statue down here, but then I just kept filling it up with plants, and I was like, let's leave it more on the natural side. And these brackens are my favorite for filling small spaces, like putting it along rocks and making it look like things are like lived there and things have been growing there. It's not just like these were placed. I feel like it does kind of give it more of that look when I put plants plants. Hello. Plants around the bottom of rocks and stuff like that. And that way it looks more like the rocks are part of the earth versus like, hey, they were just put here. And see what I mean? Like, so I don't mind if it goes over a little bit. Like these brackens are going over the railing a little bit, and I don't mind. I just don't want it happening everywhere. So I want it to look like it's taken care of. But again, nature is wild and random, so it's like randomly taken care of. I thought I wanted to change the water. I very quickly decided against it. One thing I don't like happening is when there's like that long grass sticking up through like concrete and stuff like that, because that doesn't actually happen. That looks very fake, for lack of better words. So with the goal of, trying to make everything look as realistic as possible, I know that if there was something like this steep of a hill in an actual zoo, there would have been a fence here. So I picked this Planet Zoo fence. It's just like the basic fence. It matched the feeling of like, I don't know. I know it's not actually like a East Asia kind of fence, but it worked. I'm not mad about it. I like the look of it. It's simple, yet it's earthy because it's made out of wood, and versus just having like big giant stone. My idea for this walkway isn't to be just by the tigers, so it's going to branch off into other more exhibits. So I do want to try to keep the main part as quote unquote neutral as possible. I guess you could say I have a a thing for fallen trees. I keep putting them everywhere. I don't know. I like them. Again, it's like I want things to feel more lived in versus being placed. So having the bare trees is fun. Having the fallen trees, granted, yes, if that were at a zoo, that would be 100% actually placed there, just like we placed it here today. But it makes it, I don't know, feel things. So this speed build is going to be slightly longer than what I intend to do for the future ones. I included the building that you walk through actually as you do the Tiger Trail loop. The building that is by the Tiger Trail, I guess that's what we're calling this. That's by the Tiger Trail. It's got food and restrooms and places to sit. So I included that in this as well. So I decided to grab some Himalayans from the exhibit itself because those fallen trees I put down were Himalayans. So I was like, let's make it match. Let's make a reason for the fallen trees. So now here, this is where we get into this is the building that I was talking about that you got, you guys, you being the guests, walk through to get, just to go around. And in here, there's some more tiger viewing squares or windows rather. That way you can see, and it's gives difference rather than just walking around and being like, oh, I'm walking on sidewalk. It gives dynamic changes. So this, I guess I didn't realize that the ground was still raised up from doing the panda exhibit. So people's feet are kind of in the concrete, but it's okay. It's okay. I'm not that picky about it, so it doesn't bother me. But normally I do try to make it to where like that ground is actually what they're walking on. I try not to make a lip or anything like that. So again, I'm just going through and I was just getting rid of all of those little grass things that poke through. And I know there's some like corners in here where like, oh, that is definitely ground coming through the concrete. I do get rid of some of it, but some of them I just absolutely can't get rid of because of how the game works. Like you can't really terraform around where there's walls or flooring or anything, and honestly I really didn't want to go back through and fix it. I probably will as I continue to work on this zoo itself and this exhibit, because this exhibit I'm pretty much all of my exhibits here, like, yes, we've made a speed build of them and I posted it to YouTube, but that doesn't mean it's technically ever going to be done. I mean, we all continuously work on our stuff forever, don't we? So I imagine this is something that's I'm going to need to do forever and just keep fiddling with it until I am completely happy with it, which who knows when that will happen. Ugh, I got distracted. I told you guys I get really distracted easily. She was taking a selfie. I don't know if you saw that. She was taking a selfie and I could not get over. I've never seen that before happen in game. Very cool. And these are also very cool. So this is eventually I'm going to go back and I'm going to create some things on Canva to make better infographics for things in game, like about the species that are around it. That way you don't have to continuously use the same ones all around the park, because like, yes, the infographics that they have they're really cool and they're really neat, but I don't want the same infographics everywhere. So if I'm talking about like amphibians, let's do a special little thing about amphibians, not rather just versus like ecotourism and stuff like that, just to help make it different. And like, again, you're like at a real zoo, like again, like making a map of everything and putting it in to be like a you are here, because there's maps everywhere at zoos. I think I did see somewhere on Reddit, I think that someone is making a bunch of those infographics. Um, and I think they're shareable. I think they're making them shareable, so they're very cool. If you are I don't know who is doing them, but if you go to like the Planet Zoo tab on Reddit, it's on there. You can even like search it, you know. So for this, I wanted to make it kind of like a cool like little thing for you to walk up to, and um, the only thing that does kind of bum me about this game is that you don't have as many options to find stuff or make things for this. Like, realistically, I would like this to be like a bar counter where like people could walk up and get like beers or whatever, even if it's just like a quote unquote pretend one, like how you can do it in like Planet Coaster. You can build stuff or find people that have built things in the Theme Maker's Toolkit, but Planet Zoo doesn't have that. So this, I wanted it to be like a pagoda, to kind of have the feel like that you're inside but outside. And pagodas normally have like little windows, but I couldn't find a window small enough, so I just used this little archway situation. And I wanted to put a focaccia, but I don't know, everything felt too forced. They really lean hard into the East Asian theme, which is great. It's very beautiful, but that's kind of more over where the pandas are, is I lean into like that red and the greens and stuff. This was more like earth tones. I want it to be earthy, like you're kind of in a mountain, you're inside but outside kind of feel. I'm so bad at decorating inside of buildings. So like I wanted this big beautiful building for everyone to walk through, but then it came to decorate it and I was like, I don't know what to do. So I thought that these would kind of resemble like a tiger jumping, because this little building is specifically for the tigers. I know this walkway is going to branch, like we talked about earlier, it's going to branch out to other different exhibits in different areas. I'm not sure exactly yet. I'm kind of making it up as I go along, which I know is dangerous, because I'm noticing a lot of people actually plan out their zoos beforehand, and I applaud you all. I don't know how you do that. I can't. But yeah, so I'm putting this across the top because originally I thought I wanted to end it there, but then I realized like, oh, I have like those windows there, so I need the windows to be blocked off. So I just added the extra little lip. I think this is like the 1 meter or 2 meter wall. It should always be my first clue. If I have to add like the extra little snippet of a wall to make the corners meet, then I probably have messed up somewhere. So I started putting this like a flat wall on top because I didn't know what to do with such a big building. I didn't know how to make the roof, and I was like, okay, well, I want the roof to come up, but I still want it to look like that this little pagoda that we built is still inside, but it gives the feeling of being outside. So I started doing this, and then I went inside and I was like, oh no, wait, like I'm even feeling claustrophobic. I was like the ominous being building this park. So I got rid of it, and then I started to build it upwards, which again, I really was doing this and I was like, I have no idea what I'm gonna do. So it's right about here, we may have skipped over it, so I actually had to do this in 2 parts because I record these as I'm just playing the game in general. So I decided as I was building this, and I was just gonna make this another giant pagoda. So now I have basically a mama pagoda and a little baby pagoda inside of it, and it worked. It worked. I felt like that would be cool, and that would kind of give more of the feel of like, hey, we're still like in Eastern Asia, still have that kind of feel, but not really be very blatant like we have it over in the panda exhibit. I want this to be more of like, hey, we're maybe in the mountainside, some wild trees and bushes and stuff like that. I always have a hard time picking the roof because I want it to look cool, but I don't really know how to make it work when it's like the double corner like that, because I always wanted to go taller than what those allow for. So I decided I think this is the 4-meter roof. I don't actually remember. So then I put that up and I went inside and I was like, oh, I kind of like the fact that it's like open. So I was like, okay, so let's put glass. And I wanted it to be just like plain glass, not really have a theme. So we just put a glass ceiling. And I think that really helps it feel like, hey, we're inside, but I still feel like we're outside. You still get a lot of natural light. Oh, little patch of grass. So here I was going through and I was like, it feels empty. Like there's stuff to do because there's all the tigers to look at. So originally, ideally, I don't want to have to like overcrowd it. And I was like, but this corner, it still looks big and empty because of the pathway. The people are like taking that corner really wide. Which now realistically, thinking back, I could probably just have made this like a big grid pathway so they could have walked everywhere. I might go back and change that. I haven't decided yet, but until then. So I decided I could make like a little garden, I guess. I don't know, kind of to look like, I wanted this to be like, yes, I don't know, because I'm also trying to like make it feel like, because this is called, like in my Planet Zoo, it's called Modern Zoo. So I don't know, I feel like this is still pretty modern. I don't know, I feel like I'm losing touch a little bit with what I was trying to do. We're trying to make this modern, make it different, new exhibits. A lot of inspiration I've seen is like zoos from the Netherlands and stuff, but even with this, I was kind of like, okay, well, I want it to still look true and authentic as much as possible. I actually looked up like, what do foyers look like in Asia? Like, do they have fountains? Do they have what? And what I was noticing, I'm not sure if it was an apartment or in a hotel, but it was just nature and trees and stuff. And I was like, oh, we could kind of put that on the corner here. So for this, I pulled out the water features because I was like, oh, we can put a fountain. Like, I really had an idea of like a beautiful, like trickling fountain and water coming through. And you can't really do that unless you're like digging into the ground. So I settled on these faucets to essentially pee water out onto the garden. I don't know. It looks weird. This looks the best out of any of the water features that I could pick up or put together. So I don't know. This is what I landed on. I thought it'd be cool to have like this geyser looking thing come out of it, but I realized that it looked pretty worse somehow. So I landed again on these urinal looking faucets. I don't know. I thought of it once. I can never unthink it. Just putting a little bamboo. We're really trying to like focus on. We want this to look inside but outside, outside but inside. Little tiger. See what I mean? I get distracted all the time. I do love that the tigers were walking past it immediately. That's kind of why, so I play these game, like, if you notice, we're on year, what is that, 42? We're on that many years ahead already because I play this game not paused. I need instant gratification when it comes from my little people using stuff. Like, look, I'm building a bathroom and they're walking into it right away. Unless I'm like actively building stuff, I don't know, I guess that's kind of confusing. I like actively building things in pause and actively building things not in pause because I need the instant gratification of people using my stuff. I don't know. I don't like waiting for the masses to walk all the way down. You know how like if you press pause, you build something beautiful, then you press play and everyone just walks down and it's like, oh, we're gonna go look at this new exhibit you built. I don't like waiting. I want people to see using it now. So this is our little bathroom that we're building in here. I decided to build a bathroom in here because one, I needed something to fill these empty spaces, and two, the only other bathroom in my park right now is at the entrance, I think. So bathrooms and electricity and the water pumps, those are all the last things I remember to build. I'm trying to do better. I feel like I'm forcing myself to do better. I don't feel like I'm doing any better, but we're trying. We're trying. So there it is, our bathroom. It's simple. It's fills the space. People want to use it. I like it. Nothing extravagant. It's a simple little bathroom. I couldn't decide which sign to use. I still think now that like we're still watching this, I think I hate the sign still, so don't be surprised if the sign is magically gone one day. It's kind of nice too using that smaller metered wall because it has the line on it on the top. So I was able to line all of my lanterns up. I'm just now realizing I think I buried a stereo in that pillar. That's all right. So this is something I also like to do. I saw actually someone shared a photo of them doing this already. And I like to put lights throughout the exhibit. I feel like, especially when you have like bigger exhibits like this, it allows, I don't think it really matters for the guests, but it looks nicer. Like it looks a little lit up. It looks fancy. Put some romantic lighting in there. I don't know. It's something I do now. I've done this in a no copy exhibit and it looked really nice. I tried to, because so in Planet Coaster, you can actually light up the water, and I was trying to see if I could do that too in this, but you can't. Because in Planet Coaster, I don't know in Planet Zoo, but you can also like change the hue of the light, and so I will put like blue lights on the bottom of lakes and stuff, so they look bluer at nighttime. It looks really cool. So I was trying to see if I could do that here, but alas, you can't. Okay, so I love this game so much. The leaves, look, the grass is moving. This is something I forgot to do. So I have updated my game since they've sent out the new patch. I always forget because it didn't exist before to turn on. I think there's like now an auto rotate your plants and rocks option. I think there is. Could be wrong though. You don't want people to be walking on the bushes and climbing up the trees. So we built a little fence just like there would be any other zoo. And this fencing we're using is the same as the one up before on the other side of the exhibit. And honestly, like, since I've like learned, and I don't, who was it that even said that? I think it was Nurchacho here on YouTube that told me, like, hey, not told me specifically, but put in their videos, hey, like, this is like nature has no rules, really. Plants will just continue to grow and go over the sidewalk a little bit. And since I've started to adapt that, I've started to notice that I'm liking my pathways a little bit more. So here is where I was like, oh, hey, let's put a fence in on this side because there's a fence on the other side. And then I was like, wait, I don't need a fence. That's when I realized, hey, I don't need a fence. There's an exhibit wall there. I don't know what to put here in between the two. Well, there is our Siberian tiger exhibit next to our Bengal tiger exhibit. I am really enjoying it. Again, like I said, this might be something that we will continue to work on for a while, and I'll keep toying with it, but I'm pretty happy with where we left it. It feels moderately finished, I think. At least the exhibit is for sure. This building is definitely a work in progress that I'm going to need to keep adding on to keep things to look better. Let me know if you guys want to see anything else being built, because like I said, this zoo is completely an open book. So let me know in the comments if you guys want to see anything built in here at all. The next thing I think that I want to work on, I have on the other side of the park an Arctic group of exhibits being built. So I think that's the next thing that we're going to see. So thanks for joining along in this very long speed build, but I promise they'll get faster. But thanks again, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a great night.